Hi everyone, today at eTrailer we're going to be taking a look at some dual wheel mounted bike racks. Dual wheel mounted style bike racks are going to be a pretty unique category of bike rack.
What makes these so special is the way they hold the bikes by the wheels, so there's no frame contact, that way you don't have to worry about your bike getting messed up, and there's no center mass in the way. It's easy to load and unload.
But while they look similar and work similar, there are some differences when it comes to features and looks between the bike racks.
The Saris MHS is going to be the first one we're looking at today. Now, it is going to be the heavier bike rack that we're looking at today, but that's all right. That means it's sturdy. It's going to hold the bike really sturdy. I've drove around with it on my vehicle. It impressed me. I also don't mind because it's going to live on the back of my vehicle all the time. I don't have room for it in the apartment, so I'm only lift it up and put it in the hitch one time. Another thing with that is the integrated cable lock. I like that it's there. It stores in here, so I don't have to store it in the vehicle when I'm not using it and pull it back out. Another thing about it is how you adjust to the different wheel sizes. You're going to have this unscrew here, drop it down. Some other ones you need tools to do that, to move that portion, or they just pop in and out. I'm glad it has this, so I at least have something to screw in so I know it's not going to go anywhere. I like that the handle's at the end of the bike rack. That is very helpful to pull that and just drop it down. You have a stopper just in case it does make contact. Won't be a problem. Now, it also is one of the only ones that has a wheel strap on the back for extra security and a wheel chalk up front. Another nice thing about it is I like to invest in my bike rack. So if I do buy this, I can do an add-on. So I can add on one more or two more bikes or other accessories down the line.
Now the Thule Helium XT kind of contrasts to the MHS in the sense that it's probably the lightest bike rack of the bunch. It's going to make it really easy to load and unload from the hitch of your vehicle, so if you're not leaving it in there all the time, this is a solid option. It's also going to be completely tool-free. It uses a stinger to attach into the hitch pin hole and a tool-free anti-rattle knob to get it tightened up. All of those points are locking in addition to the built-in cable lock, so it's going to be easy to use, get your bike secured and the rack secured to the vehicle. Some downsides to it though are going to be the fact that it only comes in a 2-bike version, so if you need more capacity, you're not going to get it. In addition to that, there's also a 45-pound weight capacity per bike, so it's not the best option for your e-bikes. And with that, the arms don't have adjustable wheel chocks, so for those smaller kids' bike tires, they might not fit on there as well as something that has that adjustability for different tire sizes. With those arms though, they are probably some of my favorites just because the ratcheting mechanism has such fine-tuning adjustment, and the control and the release for it is up at the top of the arm where I have much better leverage rather than down here at the base of the rack where I don't always have the best grip.
So the Rocky Mounts guide rail is great all around the bike rack. So you have that great weight capacity for those heavy electric bikes, but where it really impresses me is the wheelbase. So at 55 inches, it's really designed for those longer mountain bikes, as well as there's some features there that help out with bikes of similar shape. So if you have two similar sized mountain bikes, this one has a staggered platform where it sits higher up off compared to some other bike racks that say they have staggered platforms. Adding to that, you also have a really high ground clearance for people who have issues with that. Now the style of the rack is it does minimize plastic. So you have more aluminum with this rack, so that's gonna be strong and sturdy, but you also have these anodized touch points. So it's a nice visual help or tool for making sure things are locked down and loaded and ready to go. Some downsides to this rack though is you are going to need tools to make your adjustments. So when you want to adjust for tire size as well as when you need to install the rack, you're going to need to bring around the appropriate tools. This does have a chain lock, and while the chain lock is not integrated, it is also one of the heftiest chain locks I've seen for a bike rack.
Next up is going to be the Inno tire hold. So this one's going to be unique because it doesn't have any tools or anything to switch out tire sizes. So you just pop this portion out, slide it down, pop it back into place. It locks in there as you push the arms in. The tire is going to help hold it into place so you don't have to worry about it popping out. Now, I will say it might be the most cumbersome one to use the arms. You have to push this silver button here to bring the arm out. So that's just one extra thing you have to do when you're going to get it ready to load up a bike. That being said though, it does come with a cable lock that attaches to the bike rack right down there by the hand knob. So you don't need tools to actually tighten it down. So I like that. The hand knob's right there. You just twist that, get it tight. You don't have to have extra stuff on you. I really like that part of it. Looking at the hitch, it has an adapter sleeve. So right now it's in a 2" by 2". You can also switch it out for an 1.25". So if you have multiple vehicles, this bike rack can go on either one of those. Not only that, there's options for the bike rack. You can get it in a single bike, 2 bike, or 4 bike.
The Kuat Piston Pro X is probably the most feature-rich bike rack of the options here today. The big thing that makes this stand out is the integrated pistons. You just hit a button and the arms open up for you. So it makes loading and unloading really easy, especially if you've got a bike in your hand as you're walking up to the rack. Just hit the buttons and it'll pop open. Makes it easy to do one-handed. There's a Kashima coating on those arms to ensure that everything is operating smoothly whenever you do that, and it's not going to wear too much with time. The wheel hoops are adjustable for different size tires just with the pinch of a lever, so it's easy to adjust for different size bikes on the fly, tool-free. It also has integrated lights that plug into 4-pole wiring, so if you don't have that wiring on your vehicle already, you still can use it, you just won't be able to utilize the lights. But if you have that 4-pole wiring, you've got that built right into the rack so you can see turn signals, brake lights, running lights, giving you great visibility even at nighttime. The other thing with it is that it's got integrated locks at every turn, and even though the anti-rattle knob isn't tool-free, the tool stores directly on the rack and locks up in there too, so you don't have to worry about forgetting it because it's right there ready to go. Some of the downsides that you might find with this bike rack though are the arms don't open up super far right away. You can open them up more, but once you hit the button, that default state isn't super wide, so for your wide wheelbase mountain bikes, you might have some trouble loading it up right out of the gate. The other thing to consider is the fact that it does have a slight stage series design, but it isn't too aggressive. So there are sometimes some conflicts with loading bikes up and having conflicts with the handlebars and the seat posts. But with that, there are options for different sizes. You can get an 1.25" version. We've got the 2 bike version right now, but you can also get it in a 3 or a 4, or choose to do a 1 or 2 bike add-on so that the bike rack can grow with you if you don't get that higher capacity right out of the gate.
So we saw all the different bike racks, we talked about them. Now, what are your personal opinions? Because for me, if I got a bike rack for myself, I might go with the Thule Helium. My car has an option to have an 1.25" hitch, so it's nice that it would work with that. Plus, I don't have an e-bike, so I don't have to worry about not having as much weight capacity. But if I just grabbed any bike rack, having the Kuat piston was really nice. You know those taillights on there and how it has that wiring? It just has that cool kid factor. But that's also just me. I don't know. What about you, Aiden?
I think for me, it's kind of a tie between the guide rail and the MHS. I love the guide rail because of how sturdy it is. It's just simple, rugged. The ground clearance is a huge factor for me because my wife and I love to camp and we're not always on road. So for me, having that option and that clearance is great. The chain is just so heavy duty. I don't have to worry about it if I'm leaving my bikes unattended. But on the flip side of that, I don't know what my family looks like in 5 or 10 years from now, and I like the modularity of the MHS. I like how well it holds the bikes, and being able to build onto it for me is a huge plus.
I agree with that. As somebody who wasn't so sure about the tire hold style, I did put the MHS on my vehicle for a couple days, drove around with it. Bike didn't move at all, so I was worried for no reason. I like how sturdy it was. I like the integrated cable lock because, again, my bike lives on the back of my car, so I want it to be right there. I don't have to go get that extra piece out of the car. It's right there to use it and tuck it away too. It was pretty awesome. Plus, I don't care how heavy it is because it lives on the back of my car, so that's not going to bother me. And like you said, with the add-ons, I like the ability, if I'm going to invest in a bike rack and keep it for a long time, if I want to get another bike, I don't have to get a whole new rack. I can just use that.
So now this is just a small sample size of the dual wheel mount options out there. I know everyone's familiar with the 1UP bike rack, and you can see how they have the same style, but they take it differently. Hopefully this will help you understand the nuanced differences, and then you can get the right rack for you.
And that's really what it's about, is what's going to be the right features for you. Everything that I look for in a bike rack is probably going to be a little bit different than what AJ looks for, and it's going to be a little bit different than what Evangeline looks for. And for you, you might align with one of us a little bit more than the others, but it really just comes down to what features are you looking for, how you're going to use the bike rack, and how you're going to live with it. If you want to learn more about any of the options that we showed you here today, be sure to check out the full review on the page. That's going to give you the deepest dive into the pros, the cons, and how you're going to live with it, versus this video, which hopefully gives you an idea of where to start looking. Thanks for watching.